Tonight, President Trump says, we got him. U.S. forces rescue a missing aviator in Iran in a daring and dangerous overnight operation deep inside hostile territory.
I'm Charlie D'Agata in London. We'll have more details of the daring rescue operation of that F-15 crew member in Iran.
Also tonight, new attacks inside Iran as President Trump fires off new threats in a profane post.
This is outrageous behavior from this president.
I'm Torian Small at the White House with reaction to the president's ultimatum and blistering social media posts.
At the Vatican,
Happy Easter.
I'm Chris Livesay in Rome, where the Pope's Easter message is a scathing rebuke to war.
In Britain, a return to royal tradition.
Houston, integrity, good morning, and happy Easter to everyone down on Earth.
NASA's stunning travel photos, including this first look at the far side of the moon.
I'm Mark Strassman at the Johnson Space Center in Houston, watching Artemis II speed to an historic lunar flyby.
Takeoff trouble.
I'm Chanel Call at Newark International. The long security lineups inside are now gone. New details tonight on what's now stressing travelers.
All that plus hatched. Good news for the nest of California's most famous lovebirds.
This is the CBS Weekend News from New York with Jerika Duncan.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us this Easter Sunday. Tonight, new details about that daring and dangerous rescue of an American aviator shot down over Iran. This as President Trump escalates his threats and taunts to leaders of the Islamic Republic. In a profanity-laced post today, Trump demanded Iran, quote, open the expletive strait, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Trump ended the post, praise be Allah. Iran tonight defiant and firing missiles. Missiles hit several targets in the Gulf region, as well as the residential building in Haifa, Israel. CBS's Charlie D'Agata leads us off with new reporting on that daring rescue. Charlie.
Good evening, Jerika. U.S. officials and White House sources tell CBS News this was a complex operation involving dozens of U.S. commandos and several dozens warplanes and helicopters in the search and eventual rescue of the F-15 crew member. Video this morning purports to show the smoldering wreckage of two U.S. C-130 transport planes that were involved in the rescue mission on a remote base in Iran. Sources tell us American forces blew them up in order to avoid them falling into enemy hands, standard U.S. military practice. Attack helicopters and aircraft kept Iranian forces from getting anywhere near where the crewman was hiding. Armed Iranians had been scouring the mountainous terrain to find him first, with the promise of a huge cash reward. But a Trump administration official tells CBS News the CIA was deeply involved, not only in the hunt, but in a ploy to spread false information inside Iran that U.S. forces had already found him and were transporting him by ground out of the country. The race to find the two-man F-15 crew began on Friday. The pilot was rescued within hours of the fighter jet being brought down. He sustained some injuries. We've learned the second crewman is seriously wounded, according to President Trump. The downing of the jet came amid a fierce U.S. bombing campaign in Iran, including blowing up Iran's biggest bridge linking Tehran to key cities. Iran says more than a dozen people were killed. And Iran has continued to retaliate, striking an oil refinery in Iraq, launching strikes across the Gulf from Bahrain to Kuwait, Dubai, Saudi Arabia, and more missile barrages in Israel. Today, President Trump set a deadline for Iran to open the Strait of Hormuz by Tuesday. And Jerika, he said there will be a press conference tomorrow afternoon from the Oval Office with military officials when they will share more details of the rescue operations.
Charlie D'Agata from London, thank you. Tonight, the president's latest demands on Iran and his language are drawing scrutiny and criticism. CBS's Torian Small is at the White House with reaction from some lawmakers. Torian.
Good evening, Jerika. For the first time since he addressed the nation on Wednesday, we saw the president, but it's this curse-laden social media post that's drawing attention. The president visited his Virginia golf club today shortly after lobbing that profanity-laced threat at Tehran that he's going to start bombing bridges and power plants on Tuesday. Iranian Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf responded on X, calling Trump's threats reckless and telling the president, quote, "You won't gain anything through war crimes." In Washington, the president's post drawing condemnation.
This is outrageous behavior from this president.
There's no amount of cursing or boasting or tough talk that will cover up for the fact that this president didn't have a rationale and he doesn't really have a plan.
Former Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene called the president, quote, insane. The president's demands to reopen the strait appears to contradict what he said just a few days ago. Let other countries fight over the waterway.
We don't need it. We haven't needed it, and we don't need it.
The former head of U.S. Central Command, Frank McKenzie, telling Face the Nation Trump likely won't blink first.
I would say the Iranians would be very well served to listen to President Trump when he says he's going to hit them, because he's proven that he's willing to do that.
An Iranian spokesman said today the strait would be reopened only after it receives compensation for war damages. Jerika?
Torian Small at the White House, and with everything happening at the Vatican, a commanding call for peace from Pope Leo. Hallelujah. Thousands gathered in St. Peter's Square to hear it on what is celebrated as Christianity's most joyous day. We get more from CBS's Chris Livesay in Rome. Chris.
Good evening, Jerika. Just a few days ago, Pope Leo called on world leaders and President Trump by name to find an off-ramp from the war in Iran. Well, that message reached a crescendo today on Easter Sunday.
In his first Easter as pontiff, the first American pope called for peace amid an American war in Iran.
Let those who have weapons lay them down, he said. Let those who have the power to unleash wars choose peace.
All week, Holy Week, leading up to Easter, the Pope has repeatedly denounced war. On Good Friday, he said those in power will answer to God for their power to start and to end wars.
He was strong to say, God does not wage war. Your hands are full of blood.
When the U.S. began striking Iran on February 28th, we were getting a rare look up close at Michelangelo's Last Judgment.
Here on the floor of the Sistine Chapel, you can feel that movement from Michelangelo's painting. Figures being pulled upwards to heaven and others pulled down to hell.
For the first time in nearly 30 years, the surface of the Last Judgment has now been cleaned.
We are going back to 500 years, no doubt. It's something touching. I mean, you never get used to it. Never.
With the work now finished, Michelangelo's vision of judgment feels sharper than it has in centuries.
Well, it was in that room, the Sistine Chapel, that cardinals voted almost a year ago to turn Robert Prevost into Pope Leo. And when he emerged on that balcony, Jerika, almost a year ago, right behind me in St. Peter's Square, he used the word peace 9 times.
Chris Livesay, thanks so much. Today, a return to Easter tradition for the royal family. Cheers greeted King Charles and Queen Camilla outside St. George's Chapel in Windsor. Also there, the Prince and Princess of Wales and their children. They have missed the traditional event the last 2 years. Well, tonight, the Artemis II crew is closer to the moon than ever before. They've also captured this new photo of the far side of the moon. CBS's Mark Strassman is at the Johnson Space Center covering it all. Mark, good evening.
Good evening, Jerika. Along with looking out the window, the crew has been taking pictures using a digital camera and a 400-millimeter long lens. And what they have seen has stunned them.
It's incredible. Wow.
With a view like this, you could hear it in their voices. One of Easter's timeless themes, gratitude.
It is phenomenal, and the moon we are looking at is not the moon you see from Earth whatsoever.
It's day 5 for Artemis II's test flight, and we had the chance to ask the crew, then 180,000 miles from Earth, what all of us have wondered.
We've all watched a waxing moon from Earth. What's it like to watch the moon grow from space?
We were catching glimpses of the far side, the side that you can never see from Earth. It just looked different out the window, and that is wild. It just really put our place in the universe in perspective.
Tomorrow night, the Orion capsule will loop around the moon's far side, setting a new distance record from Earth. For a time, NASA will lose all communication with the crew. 40 minutes of radio silence. But no one's worried.
We'll take a break, a breather, probably, some good, times to reflect, and we'll meet them on the other side.
Love yourself and love others.
The crew also wished everyone back on Earth a happy Easter.
Do you have a message you'd like to share from space about Easter Sunday?
You guys are talking to us because we're in a spaceship really far from Earth, but you're on a spaceship called Earth that was created to give us a place to live in the universe. Trust me, you are special. In all of this emptiness, whether you believe in God or not, this is an opportunity for us to remember where we are, who we are, and that we are the same thing and that we got to get through this together.
That message from Glover has resonated. NASA posted it to all of its social media platforms, and Jerika, it's already been viewed almost 19 million times.
I believe it. I could see why. Mark Strassman, thank you. To the weather now. Severe storms impacted millions this weekend, flooding swamped parts of the Michigan after heavy rainfall. This soccer field at Michigan State University in Lansing completely underwater. Let's check in with CBS News meteorologist Andrew Kozak for the latest. Andrew.
Yeah, Jerika, good evening. Those thunderstorms kept us busy tracking them across the Midwest yesterday. Now on your Sunday, well, they moved across the East Coast, providing us with a pretty miserable Easter Sunday for places like Boston, New York City. Severe weather limited to the mid-Atlantic, but we did have a couple of reports. Places like Norfolk, Virginia, actually at 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Now all of that moves offshore tonight, but colder air moves in, so you're getting your new week started in places like Columbus, Ohio, Indiana, West Virginia, Kentucky. We could be looking at temperatures in the 20s and 30s, frost and freeze advisories. And it's not just for the Ohio Valley, but it's also the East Coast. Places like Philadelphia hit 84 degrees with a brand new record high on Saturday. Well, all of the East Coast, including Philadelphia, New York, and Boston, 30s and 40s, at least through Wednesday morning for overnight lows as that colder air sets in. So we'll get you started for your Monday at a glance across the nation. Rain on the tail end of that system in Florida. Everybody else dries out and stays cool, dry and sunny for the Midwest. Jerika?
Andrew Kozak, thank you. Bad weather this weekend did disrupt the holiday travel rush, and while wait times at the airport security have improved, there are new headaches to contend with. CBS's Chanel Call is at Newark International to explain.
And Jerika, it's been busy here with arrivals and departures, but travelers now facing a new challenge with airlines increasing their prices due to higher jet fuel costs.
At airports across the country, the lines are finally shorter, but it will cost you more to get to your destination.
It usually be about $500 for the round-trip ticket. It was $1,000. We canceled the business trip.
The war with Iran sending jet fuel prices surging, nearly doubling since it began. CBS News travel editor Peter Greenberg.
The two biggest expenses in the airline business are labor and fuel. It's what the airlines can't control. And right now they're flying on the intangible, and you're seeing what's happening.
It's prompting airlines around the world to charge more.
So in Europe, where I am right now, the airlines are adding a $50 to $200 surcharge on every single ticket that they're selling. In the U.S., ticket prices are expected to rise, and they're already starting to do that, between 7% and 20%, not just this week, but for the foreseeable future.
Last week, JetBlue became the first American airline to raise checked bag fees as much as $9. United followed suit, charging up to $10 more.
We're all hoping it ends soon, but it is going to make summer different for everyone, right? It's going to be more expensive.
And if you're planning on traveling this summer, the advice is to book now. Greenberg says even if the war with Iran were to end tomorrow, we will likely see these price hikes remain in place for at least the next 6 weeks. Jerika?
Great advice, Chanel Call. Thank you. Straight ahead on the CBS Weekend News, a new champion is crowned in women's college basketball. A hiker is attacked by a swarm of bees and stung over 100 times. What happened? Next. And not just one, but two new arrivals for this celebrity couple watched worldwide. Tonight, there's a new champion in women's college basketball. UCLA beat South Carolina 79-51 in today's final tournament game in Phoenix. It's the Bruins' first national title since 1978. And the men's championship game is set after Saturday's Final Four in Indianapolis. Number 2 seed UConn will face number 1 seed Michigan on Monday night. Tonight, an Arizona hiker is fighting for his life after being attacked by a swarm of bees. He was airlifted to safety from Lookout Mountain in Phoenix. Officials say the 30-year-old told rescuers he was stung more than 100 times. He was quickly treated with medication and fluids and then rushed to the hospital. Still ahead on the CBS Weekend News, an Easter Sunday to remember. Today, a bit of rain did not put a damper on the annual Easter parade here in New York City, a unique one at that. Thousands donning colorful and often homemade Easter bonnets on Fifth Avenue near St. Patrick's Cathedral. Even a few of their furry friends, aren't they cute, joined in on all the fun. Well, tonight, some good news out of California. Both eggs in the nest belonging to bald eagle couple Jackie and Shadow have hatched. The first eaglet appeared late Saturday, the second early Sunday, just as its sibling was feeding. The couple lost their first 2 eggs in January to invading ravens. Also in California, a critical save. This baby mountain lion had a rough start in life after being abandoned and left to starve. He was rescued by state wildlife officials. He's now being cared for at the Oakland Zoo, which includes round-the-clock bottle feeding. Next on the CBS Weekend News, spreading the gospel in France. Music, that is. But first, a look back at this day in history.
In April of 1951, the federal court of Judge Irving R. Kaufman found the pair guilty as charged and sentenced them to death in the electric chair to pay for their crime of treason.
Most widely loved and respected goes the man history may acclaim as the greatest prime minister.
Now on to a Titanic bridge that opened today in Japan. The world's longest suspension bridge is carrying traffic between 2 of the country's 4 main islands. It is 2.5 miles long.
Finally tonight, certain songs have a way of moving our spirit. Well, in our weekend journal, CBS's Barry Peterson shows us how gospel music with roots among America's enslaved is now ministering to the hearts of people in Paris.
Gospel and jazz singer Linda Lee Hopkins gathered friends to sing gospel for us. Music that works, even if many in the audience don't speak English.
They don't get the words now, but they get the spirit that comes, that you as a performer project to them.
And for more than 30 years singing in Paris, she has the spirit. The popularity of gospel in Paris really started with the Golden Gate Quartet, who came to fame in World War II movies.
Said the general to the captain, Pops, we gonna cause a commotion. Then one early morn, they up and gone. The general jumped and gone.
Their long-running Paris show in 1958 launched gospel and made them icons in France. Now, Parisians line up when gospel choirs perform.
How do you feel the music if you sometimes do not get the words?
I think that music takes you by your heart, so words doesn't really matter.
Gospel Dream is warming up for their concert. It is one of several choirs performed in Paris. Audrey Mamor sees gospel as a way to reach people. You sing to an audience that many may not understand the words. How do they get the message?
The Spirit of God is beyond the borders of language. And I think that's what is powerful. They feel something. They feel the joy. They feel the love.
As the concert reverberated in the church, the French audience indeed found the joy in this most American of music. Barry Peterson, CBS News, Paris.
Hallelujah. Well, that is the CBS Weekend News for this Sunday. I'm Jerika Duncan in New York. Have a great week.